Today we have a quite smaller cooler actually, which is most likely possible to use in mini ITX or SFF builds. So this one is ANTEC T120 CPU cooler, which has one fan. As you can see, it's completely RGB. It constantly changes colors, so you don't have a possibility to actually choose the RGB light, but with the size it makes sense for smaller builds that are usually closed off. This will just give you some little light shining through the holes for your ventilation. So in today's video we're going to place it on a CPU that is actually in a mid-range category, and we're going to test it out in a smaller case, even though that case can actually support quite larger CPU tower coolers, but nevertheless. So some specifications: we have ANTEC T120 with the fan that is actually 120 times 120 times 25. It's completely RGB, so you don't have a possibility to adjust it. It connects with 3-pin 12-volt DC. The RPM is 1500 RPMs plus minus 10%. CFM, maximum CFM actually, is 60, and the noise is 26 decibels. It's supported on almost all Intel sockets except for 1700, and for AMD up to AM4. Checking it out, it does look quite nice. You have an RGB fan, you have these strips going around the cooler, and it's quite normal mounting, I would say. Now on AM4 there's a completely different story. For Intel you can mount it quite easily. You have this bracket that you place it on here, and you push the, I think this, it depends on which side, you just push that metal lever to catch these standoffs, and so that the cooler can actually fit on it. On AM4 socket it's a completely different story, because you're using the original backplate and the standoffs from the motherboard. Now you do need to change the front metal pin to the upper position, so you have more leverage in pushing it down and connecting everything on your processor. You really do need to use much more strength to push it down, and be very careful when you're doing this. You'll most likely need someone to help you. Now with that said, here is the case that I was talking about, and this is the CPU tower cooler, the T120. It can go into much smaller cases because the dimensions are 130 times 82 millimeters. So the height is 82, and it could actually really fit into most of the well, not most, but a quite nice percentage of mini ITX SFF cases. The temperature on this processor, the AMD Ryzen 5 5600G, is actually 80 degrees Celsius. And here's the catch. Now, I don't have an intake right here, and I have only an outtake. The case doesn't support great cable management in terms of hiding the cables and opening the back panel, but when you're taking a look, that it's almost closed off, of course, when you place the tempered glass, and 80 degrees Celsius with almost no airflow is quite alright. I think in a case that actually is designed for chimney effect, where the GPU isn't blocking the bottom fans and you get nice intake on the fans on the CPU tower cooler, eventually having a front intake, it will lower the temperature quite nicely up to 70-75 degrees Celsius. So that's basically everything that I have to say. Easy mounting, well, mostly easy mounting on AM4, because you only use those two hinges and attach them to the original backplate. Otherwise, using it for Intel processor, you do have to use the front standoff that you get with the cooler and the screws that go on top of it, so you can actually attach everything all together. So for today we had ANTEC T120 CPU tower cooler. It could be much better if it had, for instance, addressable RGB header that you could actually control the RGB, or 4-pin PWM header that you could actually control the speeds, which will definitely be quite nice. 1500 RPMs with 26 decibels is still quite alright. It constantly runs on that speed. You might be able to tweak something in BIOS, but I think up to 1500 RPMs, I wouldn't go lower, concerning the temperatures and of course depending on the case that you're going with. So guys, ANTEC T120 was CPU cooler review for today. You can check out the links, of course, for the T120 if you want to see more information or maybe I missed something. And if you're new to the channel, this is your first time, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and hopefully guys, I will see you all next time in a new video. Thank you for watching today's one. Bye bye.